Hi guys, so good morning. Myself Venkat. So let me give you a brief about my profile. So I have 11 plus years of experience in SAP, ABAP, WebDem, ROBAP, and MDG. So coming to MDG, it's been around 6 plus years of experience I have. I worked on all MDG on ACC and MDG on S4 HANA environments. So I worked on a material master, business partner, finance, and plant maintenance, EAM domains. So I am currently working as a MDG technical lead consultant. So I do involve in MDG functional areas, but not the core domain functional areas. So this is just brief about me. So it would be great if you can introduce yourself. No need to give more details. Just your name, your current skill set, and your total experience, and your interested role, whether you want to be MDG technical consultant or functional or techno functional. So that it would be helpful for me to address you according to your areas of interest and according to your skill set. So yeah, anyone get started, please?
Yeah, hi, this is Pradeep.
Yeah, you go. You guys can go ahead. I keep typing, not
Yeah,
an issue.
this is Pradeep, and I'm on working on ABAP on and ABAP on HANA, and total experience 6 year. And interested in SAP MDG techno functional. I'm also a little bit worked on technical side, but not more than in functional side. So I am
Okay,
interested for the techno functional.
okay, great. Anyone? Anyone else, please?
Hi Venkat, this is Neha. I'm working on ABAP technology with 4.5 years of experience and I want to become MDG techno functional.
Okay, great. Anyone else next? Please, can anyone start us? Srilata or
Hi,
Sarabjit?
hi, good morning. My name is Sarabjit Kaur. I'm working in SAP. I am a beginner in MDG. And now I'm working in MDM as a functional consultant.
Okay. And may I know your total years of experience, please?
My total experience in SAP for a year.
Okay, so you want to be a functional consultant, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
And next, who next? Anyone else? Okay, not a problem. Yeah, let's get into our demo session. So agenda of today's demo is we'll see the introduction to master data and the master data management, and what is the data governance, and what is an SAP MDG, and what are the user interfaces we use for SAP MDG, and what are the out of the box application in SAP MDG, and what is the governance process flow, and we see a small demo on the system itself if time permits today. Okay, so let me give you an example. Let me take a scenario. Okay, so everyone must be aware of the Amazon e-commerce portal. Okay, Amazon has different business wings. So they have e-commerce, they have cloud, and they have groceries. So many things are there. But we are taking one such an example, Amazon e-commerce portal. Okay, so Amazon is selling so many products on their portal, like mobile phones, laptops, garments, and of course they have the online recharges also. You can pay the bills, you can buy the groceries, etc., etc., whatnot, everything. So I take one example. So I take mobile phone. And again, in the mobile phone, they have so many brands: Apple, OnePlus, Samsung, etc. Okay. So now, what I do is I take one such brand. Let me take a popular brand, Apple. Okay. And again, in Apple, they have so many models: iPhone XR, iPhone XS, iPhone XS Max, iPhone 11, etc. Okay. Let me take a model. I'm taking iPhone XS Max. In this also, you could see different variants: maybe 64 GB, 128 GB, 256 GB, 512 GB. Let me take 256 GB variant. In here also you can see different colors: silver, dark gray, gold. Okay, so I'll take gold color, which is my favorite one. Okay, so here the approximate price of gold color would be maybe around 1 lakh 20. Let me make a round figure: 1 lakh. It may not be the exact price, but just a wild guess. So now this is the example we are taking. So iPhone XS Max of 256 GB gold variant. Now let's say total 100 customers has purchased it. Okay. Now what would be the total amount comes from 100 customers? This is the total figure. Now let's say the price is updated incorrectly as around 50,000, or let me make a small amount, small difference, 80,000. Now it is same for 100 customers, and when the price is having 80,000, if 100 customers purchase, it comes like this. So now let's make the difference. So it comes around 20 lakhs. So 20 lakhs is the difference amount. So now because of the price difference, there is a loss of around 20 lakhs to Amazon. Okay. So now what we are trying to discuss here. So here if you see, there are 100 customers, and it may be 1,000 customers, or they may be 1 lakh customers, or we can't predict, right? So here iPhone XS Max price is incorrectly maintained in their portal. So what is the difference? 20,000. Let's say they have only 10 customers purchased it, or very minimal, like single digit. So that doesn't make much difference to Amazon. But gradually, when the number of customers are being increased, the loss to the organization is getting increased. It becomes huge. So a small error in the data leads to huge loss to the organization. So data is very important. So here, where the data error occurs, data error occurred in the pricing of the mobile phone actual data. Let's say there is an error in the color. The actual mobile variant is gold color, but they might have incorrectly updated as dark gray on their website. Okay, so customer purchased by assuming that it is a dark gray color, so he purchased dark gray color, but he received the gold variant. So in worst case, what happens? He may request for the replacement. So in the replacement, so the actual color he wished for will be delivered to his home. Okay, so there won't be any loss to Amazon. It's just delivery charges. That's it, nothing much. So it's not like when the data error occurs, always there is a loss to the organization. It's not like that. It's also important which data is erroneous. That is also very much important. That decides whether it's a loss or a profit or neutral to the organization, that leads to the organizational benefits. So here when the error occurs in color, there is no loss, nothing. But when there is an error on the pricing, there is a huge loss. Okay, so Amazon don't maintain, if the 100 customers are there, Amazon don't maintain 100 records for this mobile variant. They maintain only this data only once, and that is being shared by 100 customers. If 1 lakh customers are there, they can view the same data that is consistent. If I am viewing the data, it won't be look like me. It looks like different, and for other person, for Pradeep, for Sarjeet, for Srilata, for Neha, it won't look like different. For all of us, it looks like same features, same views, same photos, same specifications. Everything will be the same. So here you could see there is some data which is maintained only once in the system, only once. What is the data? Mobile data. I'm just making it generalized. And if you see 100 customers, so let's say 100 customers are there. If they are purchasing mobile phone, laptops, garments, they are doing some recharges or blah blah blah, etc. Do they create their account for every their for each of their transaction? No, they create their account only once, and they use it for each of their transactions at Amazon. Okay. Also, the customer data also only once. And again, someone is selling this product. Amazon is not directly selling this product. Retailers are what is it? There are some sellers, they registered on Amazon to sell their products. So it is a platform for to act as an intermediate between customer and the seller. Seller place their products in the Amazon portal, and Amazon will be projecting that to the customers. Customers will be purchasing. Of course, Amazon also has their own products. So Solimo products are Amazon own products. I'm not talking about that one. I'm just talking about the third party sellers. So sellers also will be having their profiles. So they also don't create their profiles as many times as they list their products. It's one time. Okay. So supplier or seller. So like this, there are some data items which are maintained only once, and there is some data being changed frequently. Okay, what is the data being changed? The transactions of this mobile phone. Okay, how many transactions are there? There are 100 transactions, there are 1,000 transactions. For each transaction there will be different phases, like the order is being placed, order is being shipped, is being in transit, and it is being delivered, and it is in the warranty period, or it is in the replacement, or it is being cancelled, or it is being returned. So many things will be there. So this product details will not change, but the product order det- order details, the transactions will get changed. Okay, customer transaction. Okay, this data is keep getting changed. So now the bottom line is here what we want to see is there is some data in every organization to be maintained only once and very frequently that is getting changed. And there is some data that is very frequently getting changed. Okay. So this data is called as master data. Okay. And this data is called as transactional data. So these are very basics. I hope few people already must be aware of that one. But for the sake of everyone, I repeating this one. Don't mind. So now, what we are dealing now? We are dealing with the master data. Okay. Let's deep dive into master data. Okay. So what is what are the advantages and what are the challenges we face in industry for the master data? All these things we are going to see. Okay, now let's get started. So we have different types of data in SAP. Basis, sorry, basis data, organizational data, master data, and transactional data. So what is considered as basis data? So since most of you are working on SAP, so whenever we are working for a client, we see that the systems are getting installed and they install different clients like working client and testing client and whatnot everything. And there will be different environments: development environment, QA environment, and pre-production, production, UAT, etc., etc. So for everything, again, the user roles are and the roles assignments, users needs to be created. They have to manage the memory buffer, everything. So all those activities are come under basis data. And what is organizational data? So you must have seen that people are being assigned with the different roles. We are having different departments, different organizational units, different positions. Like if you take just let me an example. So if you take any company, we have different departments: HR department, IT department, and security department, and network department, etc., etc. Each and every department is having different roles again: team lead, project manager, or functional consultant, or developer, or consultant, etc., etc. So all those kind of things will be maintained in SAP in the form of organizational data. And about master data, transactional data, we have just seen one example. So what kind of master data we are dealing in SAP MDG? Material master, customer master, supplier master, business partner, and we have equipment master, function location, MRO bomb, task list, and we have general ledger account, cost center, cost element, profit center, etc. So many are there. We are going to see those things. And transactional data. So this master data is key for any transaction. If you take our previous example, if there is no mobile master data exist, so we can't see any transactions. So transactional data is purely dependent on master data. Transactional data is purely dependent on the master data. If there is any changes or any errors in the master data, that impacts directly on the transactional data. Okay. Now, what are the various challenges of using master data? Okay, let's say we are having a different heterogeneous systems in our landscape. Okay. Now, the data can be inconsistent or inaccurate. Okay. So this data is spread across different geographical locations. So what kind of issues or challenges occurs in terms of master data? there can be a duplicate data since it is spread across different geographical locations and different environments. Okay, here we have SAP systems, non-SAP system, and different legacy systems. And incorrect data. So maybe while creating the master data, there might be some errors and incomplete data. Okay, so let's say well, while we are entering the mobile data, I forgot to enter the color of the mobile. Okay, I missed that one. That is incomplete data. So if you are in that place, will you show interest to purchase that product? No, because we don't know what color will be delivered by Amazon. I have my color preference, but the color is not mentioned in the site. So how can I go for that? Yeah, that also leads to some challenge. That is also some challenging part of master data and insufficient analytics. So this obviously leads to the insufficient analytics. Okay, so when they are getting the reporting of all the master data and getting their analytical reports, everything, so that won't be that much reliable. And high data maintenance cost, of course, when the master data is spread across different geographical locations and different systems, the maintenance will be more. It can be in terms of storage or IT or infrastructure or human resources or anything, or cleansing the data to make to maintain the consistency or whatever it may be. So these are few of the challenges faced in the industry, in most of the industries for master data. Now, there are different LOBs, lines of business in the every organization: CEO, CTO, CFO, and vice president, directors, etc., etc. will be there. So all these people will get affected if there are any uh, uh, impact, if there is any impact on the transactions because of the wrong master data. Okay. Now, how we can control that? How we can overcome that master data challenges? So you must have heard that you must be hearing the terms state government, central government, these kind of terms. Okay, what they are doing, of course, they are doing so many things, but we'll take one relevant thing to our session. Okay, they are governing the people. What do we mean by governing the people? They impose some laws on the people, so they impose some rules on the people so that the people will be following the rules, so that they get uh, the society into some control. Okay, for example, let's talk about traffic e-chalanas or traffic chalanas. Okay, if you don't wear a helmet, so government is charging you fine, give you fine of around maybe 1,000 rupees, whatever it may be, based on the state government rules. I'm taking just an example. Okay, so if they are not charging any fine, so do we follow rules? Frankly speaking, 80 to 90% people will not follow the rules. Okay, that's why they are giving strict rules. Okay, you should follow the rules to avoid the chalanas, and maybe few states have some other rules also. If you get fined for the same mistake for 5 times, you will be imprisoned for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 1 month or something like that. So, okay, so because why they are imposing that rules? So it's just for our safety, and if you are not following the rules, then you will be into the trouble, and society will not be in the control. So likewise, there are so many kinds of rules imposed by the government. So the like how they are controlling that mistakes being done by the people. Similarly, in master data also we have to have some controlling mechanism to avoid the incorrect master data or to have the consistent master data. So that we call as data governance, governing the master data. Okay, it's also simple. We just apply some rules, we just follow some mechanism to get the consistent and reliable master data. That's it. It's as simple as that one. Okay. What are the various essentials of data governance? Okay. What happens? We have just seen if the data governance is not there, what happens? We end up in incorrect, irreliable, inconsistent master data, which gives huge challenges or huge impact on the organization. And why it is very much important to the business? This also we have discussed, because to avoid the loss to the organization or to have the consistency across the master data of any organization, because the are of course end of day, if anyone is running a business, their ultimate goal is to gain the profits. Okay, if that is not happening, mostly no one will show interest to continue their business. They wait for some time, and if still it's not happening, then they may give up. It depends. And where in an organization data governance programs are located. So we had seen one example of heterogeneous systems. We had different systems across different geographical locations. So we have to decide where our governance programs, of course, if we are saying that there are some rules to be implemented, there should be uh, some program running in the background. So where we need to run that programs, it depends which systems has to be governed. That decides where we need to locate our programs. And when the organizations need data governance, so whenever they feel that this is the right time to govern our master data because we are leading into so many issues because of the master data errors, whenever they feel that yeah, and if they feel that they have so much of inconsistent, incorrect, irreliable data, then they will definitely go for the data governance. And why do we need it? Yeah, we have seen all these answers already with different examples. Okay, now that's just about normal data governance. Now, how SAP leverages the data governance? Okay, how SAP uh, handles this data governance? So SAP introduced a tool called Master Data Governance (MDG). So SAP MDG handles the inconsistent, incorrect, and irreliable master data. Of course, just to make it more simple, it implies some rules. It follows some process to maintain the correct data. That is very simple layman term. There's one more thing. So initial few sessions would be bit theoretical, so it might be a bit boring or you might feel sleepy because of the timing also. So please be patient, please be with me, because if you don't understand the theoretical portion, then it's very difficult to move on. If you take any technology, initially it would be theoretical only, then slowly we are moving on to the hands-on sessions. Okay, I try to make it as interesting as possible. Okay, so this is some introduction about master data governance. So I don't want to get into this at the moment because uh, you may get you may get bored little more. So, okay, I will come back to this after some couple of sessions. And what are the capabilities of MDG? We are saying that SAP MDG can handle the data governance by imposing some rules and some work, some processes, etc., etc. So, what are the benefits? What are the capabilities of SAP MDG? Governance. Okay, governance, as we have discussed, it's just simply governing the master data. how it can be governed. There are so many ways. We update some rules, like if user is entering some error data, we implement some business rules. Okay, this data format is correct, incorrect, or this data is missing. So and so data should be in the format. For example, they are entering wrong date format. We give an error message to the user. Please enter the date in the DDMMYYY format. Or if they are entering some incorrect postal code, we validate that postal code and give an error. Okay, like that we apply the governance rules. And there is something called governance process flow in MDG. So in couple of minutes we are going to see that one. Just remember that point. And consistent data. Of course, after applying all these governance rules, we would be end up in achieving the consistent data. Integration. So the very strong feature. So SAP MDG can integrate with any SAP or non-SAP systems. You take MuleSoft, or you take Ariba, or you take any Oracle, or ERP system, or S4 system, or CRM system, or SRM system. So it can integrate with the other systems. It can be SAP or non-SAP. Reuse. So for governing the master data in SAP SAP has delivered some in the form of data model. To make it more simple, there are some master data tables in SAP. If you take your core ECC or anything. So Mara table, Marcy table, Mardi table. Likewise, for governing the master data in MDG, there is something called data model. Okay. So for material, there is one data model. For business partner, there is one data model. For finance, there is one data model. For EAM, there is one data model. So, and there are some business rules, and there are SAP has given some standard APIs, standard programs, which can be reused as per the customer requirement. Reusability is more, and data quality, of course. So after imposing all the governance rules, etc., we will be end up in getting the quality data. Also, to improve, to have the more quality of the data, SAP MDG can leverage information steward or data services. So they can cleanse the data, they can transform the data, they can do all the data initial checks or transformations, everything, and they send the data to. They can share the data with MDG. And flexibility. Okay, this is very much important. Of course, if you see, if you want me to give you some example, so create material screen MM01 transaction. Okay, so there are some screens. Let's say that is pre-developed by SAP, that we call it as out of the box solution. Okay, let's say that we have some customer Reliance want to have some custom screen on that. Okay, they want to have customization. What we do, can we say to Reliance that okay, this is the out of the box solution, you have to go with this, you can't customize this one? No, we cannot say. We just need to gather the information, and we need to enhance the standard screen to accommodate the customer requirement. So that flexibility is there. Similarly, the same flexibility is there in SAP MDG also. There are out of the box data models, there are out of the box standard user interfaces, standard business rules, standard governance processes, standard replications, etc., etc. So you can customize anything you want as per the customer needs. That kind of flexibility MDG can provide. Okay. So there are different use cases. So before going further, so anyone has any questions so far? Okay. So there are different use cases. I just go at a high level. Okay. Central governance. So when you have so many uh, systems across your landscape, it can be non-SAP, or it can be ERP or S/4HANA, or it can be any other SAP application, SRM, CRM, etc. So all these business systems must be having different types of master data, or maybe sharing some master data also. So as I said, there is a feature of SAP MDG integration. Okay, SAP can integrate different heterogeneous or different legacy systems and maintain the master data in a single place. And that master data will be shared by the different business systems. That is one use case. And another use case. Let's say client is already having their business in these systems. They want to implement the MDG for this. What do? They already having some master data here. No. Can they lose their existing master data? No. They have to collect all this master data into SAP MDG box. Now, for that, what they are doing? They have a concept called consolidation. So they consolidate all the master data from the source systems and send it to SAP MDG for further governance, or it can be mainly used for the reporting purpose also, as per the client needs. And consolidation for initial loads. So we already discussed this portion now, and we have discussed this also for this in the first use case. Now there are few projects where we can integrate these two. Okay, let's say we have Oracle, ERP, uh, some S4. Client is having these three source systems. They want to implement SAP MDG for their business. Okay, they collect all the master data from the source systems. They do the governance on the master data, and they transform the data back to the source systems, because they need to have the same master data again for their daily transactions. That is the initial load. This is called initial load. This is the complete process of initial load. Okay. Now, consolidation of for mergers and acquisitions. It's simple. So let's say I initially it was implemented for India, US, Australia, Europe countries. Now, after a couple of months, mm, so let's say Singapore has been added uh, in the master data governance. They want to acquire the master data from this location also, and they need to govern this master data also. So this can be possible. So these can be integrated in SAP MDG even at the later point of time also. Now, what are the various user interfaces we use in SAP MDG? You know, for any business, if your end user want to communicate, so they need to have some UI. Let's say if we are placing some order on Amazon, what you are using? You place an order on a portal or app or etc. etc. Anything, any possible interface. For that, you may use mobile or tab or desktop or laptop or whatever it is. So likewise for SAP MDG also, what kind of user interfaces are available currently? Okay, we have NWBC view. where you could see all the master data governances, material governance, business partner governance, customer governance, financial governance, all these things. Of course, this can be controlled by assigning the relevant authorization roles that we will see in the upcoming sessions. How to control, how to give the authorization for the relevant governance of master data to the relevant users. That is very much important for both functional, technical, and techno-functional consultants. Okay, so this is one view, and this is another view, floor plan manager. So when you are governing any master data, so it goes to the uh, relevant master data view. Either it can be material or business partner or finance or anything. That is a floor plan manager application. And recent years, we have some Fiori kind of views also. So again, there are some native Fiori applications as well as integrated also. So when we say native, it's completely Fiori view. When we say integrated, it's not completely Fiori view. We had seen NWBC view, right? So that NWBC link will be integrated into Fiori, so that user will get the look and feel of Fiori, but the backend functionality is not completely Fiori. Okay, we see that one in the system. What is the difference between two views? Okay, and with that, we had covered the view user interface also. Now we see what are the out of the box domains delivered by SAP for MDG. Okay, so it's very much important to know what are the out of the box domains, because sometimes customer may come and ask like we need to govern this so and so master data. So that may or may not be out of the box solution. We might need to have the custom solution, or we might need to go with the standard solution. That we need to decide. For that, we need to know what are the out of the box domains. So we have financial master data, which deals with all this kind of data: cost center, cost elements, jail accounts, company, etc., etc. And we have material master. We have supplier and customer, which is integrated into business partner. Okay, and we have enterprise asset management, EAM. It has a different master data: work center, equipment, function, location, maintenance plan, maintenance item, measuring point, etc., etc. And something called retail and fashion management. Here, if you see, there is some different color code has been used between these two sections. So these are delivered by SAP. That means whenever you install SAP MDG component, you get these three by default. But how about these? If these are not coming, why we are saying these are the out of the box domain? So these are not implemented by, not owned by SAP. These are by SAP's solution partner. SAP has a MDG solution extension partner, Utopia and SNB. These two are the solution partners for SAP. So when the solution extension partners have their own master data governance, SAP cannot deliver them by the standard product default. So customer has to purchase additional license from the solution partner and SAP. They will be tied up. So and then they can get this governance. Okay. Now, what is a governance process flow? So before seeing the governance process flow diagram, let me show you something in the system. Okay, I'm going to NWBC view. Here we have the master data governance. Don't worry about how to connect all these things. We will discuss in our regular sessions. Go to finance. So we have different options. This is NWBC view, and here it is a sub portion is a PM application again. We'll discuss all these things. Don't worry. And, so here we have. So this is our screen to create company master data. Okay, let me give you a company name. Got technologies. INR English. See, I was telling about the validation and business rules, right? So if I don't provide the mandatory data, see, we are getting the errors. Enter a value for field city. If I click here, it directly navigates to here. If I click here, it navigates you to here. Okay. So that flexibility is there. Now I have created the mandatory data. Now what I do is I save this, and now here if you see there is an option called submit. What is this submit? If you have noticed in the background, if you are creating a material, as soon as you save the master data, it will be directly used by the transactions. It is ready for use. But here in MDG, it's not like that. Of course, if we want the direct ready for use mechanism, we can build that also. But mostly, it would not be like that. It goes under certain approvals. Then only the master data will be ready for use by the business transactions. Why we need approvals? Let's take a live example. Let's say I am applying for a personal loan. Okay. So when I am applying for a personal loan, I can approach multiple banks. Let's say I'm approaching HDFC Bank. Okay. So HDFC Bank must be having their own standard process to follow the personal loan application. So when I apply for the personal loan, it goes to the verification department. So once they validate my details, my address, uh, my salary, everything, etc., etc., my credibilities, everything. Then they once they give the approval, then it goes to the manager approval. So once manager approval, then it goes to the finance department. Once finance department validates everything, and if they are okay, then they initiate the loan amount disbursal. So from then, within 2 to 3 days, you will get the amount uh, uh, into your account. Then that amount is ready for use. So till the finance department approves, your loan application is in progress. Your loan amount is not ready for use. You don't have the loan amount credited immediately. So there is some process. We have to follow that. Once the process is completed successfully, then only you will get the loan amount into your account, and that can be ready for use by the end user, that is you, for your transactions. Similarly, here also we are creating the master data, but it's not yet ready for use. When, as per the governance principle, when we define this approval process, if it is approved, if this company data is approved by all the levels, if it pass all the levels, then that will be ready for use by the other transactions. Okay. So for that, what we are doing, when you fill the loan application, what you do, you just submit the application. Similarly here also I submit. Okay. So when I submit, it goes to the next level approval. See, this workflow process is being processed. So what next? So you will be having the different workflow levels. You might be having 2 approvers or 3 approvers or 4 approvers or whatever it might be as per the governance process we define in the system. Okay. Now we'll see what is that governance process flow. With that, we can control the master data. Let's say we have different business systems, 3 business systems, or it can be anything. So whoever initiating the master data creation, that person is called as requester. Okay, in my current case, I initiated the company data creation, so I am the requester. So I maintain the data. Don't worry about all the remaining terms. We see slowly. So it goes to the next level. That person is called a steward or validator. He validates the data, and it goes to the next level approval. So he approves the data. Once the data is approved, then it can be replicated to the target systems so that it is ready for use by the business systems. Okay, so that is how the governance process flow works. Of course, we see in detail about this governance process flow. This is just at a high level. This is a simple example, and we had seen the system level. So with this, any questions on the session?
Am I audible,
Yeah.
Venkat?
Yes.
I have one small doubt regarding
Uh-huh.
the last slide which I see. See, we can see the validator is there, requester is there, and a couple of other roles also. Where
Yeah.
exactly the current, let's say we have an MDG consultant. Where exactly he sits? I mean, is he involved in each and every step while maintaining and validating and approval or where exactly he sits? I can see very many roles are there, but
Yeah.
uh,
Good
yeah,
question. So as an MDG consultant, what we need to do is we define this complete governance process flow in the system. Okay, so at each step, whatever the activities are being done, so generally these will be done by the business users. MDG consultants will not perform these activities in the system. We just implement the back-end programs for this governance process. So here we have MDG consultant involved, here we have MDG consultant involved, here we have involved, here we are involved. So when someone is approving, there should be some background programs running, or there might be some rules are running. So who are building the rules? MDG consultants are building. When we are replicating the data to the target systems, there might be some backend programs, applications. They are these programs are responsible to replicate the master data to the correct business systems. Again, MDG consultants are involved. So we are not directly involved, but we are controlling this flow in the backend. So business user will initiate the data. It goes to maybe their team lead from the business and their manager, and there is some replication which is happening in the background. So indirectly, we are involved in at each and every step. Am I answered your question?
yes, exactly. Thank you. And I have one more doubt. Can I
Yeah,
ask?
yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
Just a second. Just a second. I have some audio issues. Just a second.
Yeah, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, initially, I mean, I have arrived to this session lately for the first
Mhm.
15 minutes. I don't know if it's covered in the first 15 minutes or not. What
Yeah, yeah,
exactly will be the prerequisites to learn MDG? I mean, from a technical perspective, I'm from an ABAP background. I can see workflows are initiated, but how
yeah.
much in depth should I be aware of workflows or other technical
Yeah,
aspects?
coming to the course content, course structure, and prerequisites, everything. I'll be covering that portion in a while. So before that, I just want to take a questions on the actual content. So I will answer that one. Post which you can raise your queries. So any other questions on the content from anyone else before going on to the course content, everything? Okay, let me go to the show you the course content. So this is our course agenda. So the total course duration will be approximately 50 hours. It may increase by 5 hours or it may get decreased by 5 hours, depends upon the participants' speed up. Okay, and uh, on an average, it would be for 2 months. So we'll be giving you the S4 HANA 1909 MDG server access for 2 months. Okay, and what you can expect from this training, it would be purely real-time oriented, of course. As you know, if we are 100 scenarios, 100 topics, 100 topics cannot be covered using the real-time scenarios. We can try as much as we can, maybe 80 out of 100 that can be definitely covered using the real-time scenarios. And I will provide you the study materials, few of my own study materials and few of from SAP Standard, and I will be giving you the assignments. So I expect you to participate in the assignments and to do to do the proactively. Okay, and I'll conduct mock interviews based on your interest. There is no uh, I cannot force you to participate in the mock interview, purely on your interest, and I will assist you on the resume preparation if required, and we'll be giving you the recorded sessions for 1 year. Okay, and course fee I will disclose, I will discuss with one-on-one, because there are some participants from institutes also and from my direct references too. And this is what I am delivering, but what I am expecting from you, I want the proactiveness from you. I want the session to be interactive. That's why I don't keep too many people in my trainings. So I am already working for one of the top MNCs. Since teaching is my passion, I don't want to lose that my passion, so that I definitely get satisfaction from this only, not from my job, frankly speaking. So that's why I don't give up these trainings. So as soon as I am upgrading my skills, so once I get to the relevant experience, I used to give the trainings. Okay, so that's why I just keep a very minimal number of candidates in my trainings. I don't keep high number like 20 people, 30 people, 15 people. It never crossed double digit for sure. So that the interaction will be very good. That's why I expect you also to be very interactive. Don't don't feel bad, like whether it is a small question or silly or whatever it might be. A doubt is a doubt. That's it. Whether you know or not, because you don't know about MDG, you want to learn MDG. That's why you are paying. You joined my course. So that's why you just get clarified your questions. If you feel bad, or if you have some issues, so maybe you can connect a one-on-one also. But if you discuss on the session, that would be helpful for others also. And I want you also actively participate on the assignments. That this is what I am expecting from you. Okay, and let's go to the content. So I don't want to go item by item, because at this moment, if I explain everything also, it may not be understandable for you. So we'll start with SAP MDG introduction. We see all these things, where we can install SAP MDG, what are the various options are there, how we can implement, what are the various domains are there, etc., etc., and what are the basic configurations required for SAP MDG. When you have a new system, if you want to enable SAP MDG, what are the things you need to do? That will be covered. And what is the data model? I was telling you about some data model concept. So that will be covered. And there is something called service mapping tool. When you have the data on the UI, how you can map the data to the database. That is at high level. I mean, the description, what I have given is at high level. We see that in detail in our sessions. And data quality and check. How we can ensure the quality, how we can implement the data quality rules in MDG. and how we can implement the user interfaces, how we can enhance the standard user interfaces, that will be covered, and defining the governance process flow. We take a few scenarios to implement the governance process flow. So we see all these things. This even includes email notifications, etc., etc., and data replication. When we have multiple legacy systems, so how we can replicate the data from MDG system to other systems, that is very important. Data import framework. When we have the data in different, I was talking about initial loop. Okay, so when we have the source data in different systems, how we can load the data into SAP MDG, that we can see in data import framework. And of course, last but not least, enriching the master data. Okay, so how we can enhance the MDG out of the box solution as per the customer needs. So that will be also discussed. So here I have make an order from unit 1 to 10. So in reality, we may not follow this order, but end of the day, we cover all these things based when we are going with our live sessions. So we follow the logical flow. Just to organize the content in a proper manner, I ordered unit by unit, but we may not follow unit by unit sequence in our live sessions. Okay, so now let's talk about the prerequisites. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hey. So actually, I have not seen the BR plus workflows in the syllabus.
yeah, this is one. This covers the BRF workflows, process modeling.
Okay.
Here you can see
Okay.
RBF, rule-based workflow, BRF workflow. Yeah. So now prerequisite. We have MDG technical consultant. We have MDG functional consultant. We had MDG techno-functional consultant. Coming to technical consultant, okay, let me organize this. Okay, one must be good at Core ABAP. You have experience or knowledge, either way should be fine. And over ABAP, enhancements, docs. And these are mandatory skills. So you need to have either knowledge, good knowledge or experience on these areas. Okay, core ABAP not require complete core ABAP, just the basic reporting skills and the data dictionary and creating a function module RFCs. That's it. That would be enough. And object oriented ABAP, so you should be good at creating a class interface and creating object references and calling methods. That's it. That would be enough. An enhancement, you need to have some knowledge on enhancement. How, if you don't have also, that's, if you don't these two have also don't have these two also, that should be fine, not an issue. It's not, it doesn't take that much time to learn. Okay, and functional consult, any domain knowledge or experience. So when we say any domain or module knowledge, it can be either or ESD or FICO or plant maintenance or anything. So MDJ functional consult, most of the people is having some misconception like MDG functional consultant will handle only the MDG configurations. It's not like that. So when we have MDG functional consultant, one should be able to configure or configure the reference data, handle all the core relevant things. On top of that, MDG relevant domain configurations. Similarly for SDs, customer, supplier, etc. For finance, for plant maintenance. And techno-functional consultant, of course, mixture of both. Okay, so these are the prerequisites. Nothing much is required. So if you have knowledge on also fine. If you don't have good experience also, if you have good knowledge, that should be fine. So my previous batch participants are, so I had different types of candidates from my previous batches. I had college freshers, okay, who doesn't have any idea on SAP. They just passed out from the college. I had only two people like that, and I had SAP MM functional consultants. I had SAP ABAPers. I had managers SAP in SAP, and I had non-SAP consultant. They were working on Oracle, few are, and I had the end users also in my training in previous batch. So these were the different participants, and they were able to follow my training, and they were able to uh, do whatever I explain in the sessions, and most of them are already got the jobs. If you are already working, they were looking for the internal upgrades and all. Okay, and this is about the prerequisite and kind of participants I had in my previous batches. And one last thing I want to show you, for our training I use the Google Classroom as a platform. So here for each training there will be one group created. This is for my previous batch, February batch. And here if you see, it's organized in this way. We have assignments, we have class notes updated on daily basis. Okay. You get the class recordings. Okay. All the class recordings will be updated. So you cannot download due to the privacy issues, but you can watch for 1 year. And we have the course content updated, we have daily agenda updated here, so you'll get all these things, presentations, etc, etc. Whatever we are talking, you will see all these things here, except class recording sessions. You can download everything here. Okay, so that's all about from my end. Now you can raise your questions. So before that, may I know if anyone name is missing from here?
Yes, I am Shiva. As I said, I joined a little bit late.
Right.
Above background,
Experience.
3.2 years of experience.
And you want to be?
I want to be techno functional actually.
Okay. So anyone else name is missing here?
Yes, yes, Pankaj.
Sorry.
I also joined late. Pankaj, sir.
Okay.
Pankaj.
And may I know your current skill set
ABAP.
and total years of experience?
It's 14.
Okay, it's more than mine. And you want to be?
Just want to upgrade myself.
Okay, I don't have that option. Let me make it MDJ. Okay, so now you can shoot out your questions. If anyone has any questions, you can raise your questions.
Yeah, this particular slide only. I have this doubt. When it comes to techno-functional, core ABAP and ABAP related concepts are fine, but how? I mean, how can we cover all MM, STF, FICO models? I mean, how can we have knowledge on all this? I mean, is it required for
The,
us to be having knowledge
these
on
we will
this?
not cover. Yeah, these we will not cover. Of course, if you don't have these skills also, it's not a problem. You can continue. But only the thing is when you are applying for any job, if you are applying as MDG functional consultant, they will ask which domain you have experience. You
Okay,
cannot say
just like
only in
ABAP.
MDG. Yeah, only in MDG I worked on MM configuration. They won't accept. You need to say you have core MM experience for so many years, and on top of this, for MDG, I have this many years of experience. That's it. If you don't
Okay.
know about these also, it's fine. You can continue with the sessions. If you don't know this one, you can continue, but you may not be able to follow the coding part in MDG.
So, I mean, in this training, will we be covering which particular module will be covered for a techno-functional subject?
So we will not cover in depth of any module, but we have so many topics. For each topic, we will see different modules. For few
Oh,
areas, we see For few areas, we see FICO. For few areas, we see SB. Since PM is implemented by SAP Solution Partner, so we cannot have that module in the training system. Okay, this will not be covered, but we can cover these things. So, any other questions? Hope everyone is good then. Okay, so actually, oh, sorry, I got different options. I mean, different requests from different people about the batch timings. So I think for the first time, I'm getting different inputs for the timing request from different people. So that's why I just filter out the different options I received from the different people. So maybe if you can choose your option, preferable time from these slots. If you have multiple options, also fine. Let me remove the validation. So maybe we'll be having different. Okay. So maybe Pradeep. So which option suits for you? You can choose multiple also. So based on the common one and the most voted one, I will be preferring.
Yeah, actually, I am open for all, but option 2 is best, I think.
Option two is preferred. Okay. So Neha, do you have any priority, any preference?
No, for me, option 2 is better.
Okay. And Sarvjit?
Is it possible in
Uh,
evening?
sorry. In IT, you know, right? So when we login time is in our control, but logout time is in the manager's control. Yeah, that is the
Mm,
biggest challenge. Okay, if you guys
okay,
cannot
second option. Okay,
second option,
second option. Yes.
Shiva, any preference?
yeah, no, actually, no such preferences, but second or third, anything is fine.
Okay. Pankaj,
I think for me the first one will be better. First or the fourth one,
okay.
because I one more person also has to join the class. So
Yeah,
that that the timing will be the same for both of
yeah.
us.
Okay, fine.
So either first or the fourth one.
Okay, okay, fine, fine. Okay, guys. So the tentative start date is supposed to be on tomorrow, but I got some other urgent family programs on tomorrow, 25th. So I'm planning to start from 24th, not tentative started. Okay, okay, I could see mostly having the second option. Might be going with this. Okay. So for Pankaj, yeah, I will discuss with you one on one.
Yeah,
And
sure.
so if anyone has any questions regarding the training or anything, you can feel free to ask, or you have my number. Okay, guys, so that's all for today. If no questions, we can wind up the call for today.